My parents didn't just take my money, they took my signature. It's only paperwork, my dad said, sliding the page across the counter. Family helps family. I stared at the loan stamped with my name in bold black ink. I hadn't held that pen. I hadn't agreed to this. Before we start, tell us in the comments, where are you watching from? I love seeing how far these stories travel. The title of our disaster could have been Equity Line of Credit, but it felt more like How to Undo a Life in One Afternoon. I'm Natalie Brooks, 32, single mom to Maya, age 6, freckles, a brave heart, and a backpack full of crayons. Maya has a rare lung condition that steals her breath on high pollen days, and returns it only when we keep to a schedule of treatments that costs more than my compact car. I am good at schedules. I make lists for the lists. I am not good at fraud. The day I discovered the loan, the bank lobby smelled like lemons and printer ink. A cheerful teller with a sunflower pin said, "Looks like your automatic payment for the new HELOC should go out Friday, Ms. Brooks. Do you still want text alerts?" My what? She turned her screen slightly, the way people do when they don't realize they're about to break you. Home equity line. Opened last month. Variable rate. You're the primary. I laughed because I didn't know what else to do. I didn't open a... Can you print the paperwork? 5 minutes later, I was holding 10 pages wearing my name like a counterfeit smile. The signature looped just the way mine did, except it wasn't. The notary was familiar too. Tyler Ames, my cousin, 29, a self-styled real estate investor who wore suits with no socks and pitched crypto in family group chats. Who withdrew the money? I asked. She clicked, read, softened. 2 disbursements to a contractor and 1 cashier's check. She hesitated. Signed by a co-applicant, Gerald Brooks. My dad. I walked out into the parking lot with my stomach somewhere behind my ribs. The air felt thin, too bright. I texted my mom, "Diane, emergency. Are you home?" She replied immediately. "Of course, honey. Soup on the stove." She always said that like soup could repair drywall or marriages. By the time I pulled into my parents' driveway, the contractor's pickup truck sat nose to nose with my sedan. Stacks of lumber leaned against the garage. A banner in the window read, "Lake Cottage Renovation. Summer ready." It hit me then. Why the sudden family dinners? The drop Maya by any time? The way Dad had asked for an updated copy of my driver's license, for insurance. They hadn't just borrowed my roof, they'd slapped a price tag on it. Inside, Mom was stirring chicken noodle like we were in a commercial. Dad stood at the island with blueprints splayed out, wearing his project grin. Allison, my younger sister, scrolled on her phone, a shiny new watch flashing on her wrist. "Look who's here," Mom sang. "Sit, baby. You look pale." "You forged my signature," I said. My voice sounded like it belonged to the person behind me. Dad didn't flinch. "We used a power of attorney. Tyler notarized it." "I never signed a power of attorney." My hands were shaking now. "What did you spend it on?" Dad tapped the blueprints. "Boat dock, new deck. We're extending the cottage. Think of it as an investment. Family property appreciates. You can use the lake house anytime. Maya will love it." "Her lungs don't love lakes in June," I snapped. That money was the equity I'd planned to tap if the trial in Boston opens up. "The travel? The rent near the hospital?" Allison made a face. "You always make everything about medical bills. It's depressing." "Because they exist," I said. "Because they keep your niece breathing." Mom put the ladle down carefully. "Sweetheart, you've been so stressed. We thought this would be a blessing. The bank approved it." "Based on a forged signature and a notary who shares our DNA." Dad's jaw flexed. "We didn't steal from you, Natalie. The house is ours too. We co-signed the mortgage when you bought it after... everything." He glanced toward Maya's empty backpack slumped near the door, as if the shape of it might soften me. We have leverage. This is how families roll equity forward. And if I default on your loan, I asked, do families roll my daughter out of her bedroom too? He spread his hands, the peacemaker act he wore to HOA meetings. We'll help with payments. With what money? He looked at Mom. She wouldn't meet my eyes. Your father already put the down payment on the pontoon boat, she murmured, as if whispering would make it noble. Lake weekends will be good for us all. In the hallway mirror, I looked like a person on a paused video. Mouth open, hands half raised, pleading with pixels. I set my bag down. I want the paperwork, I said. All of it. The notary log, the contractor invoices, and the cashier's check. Who got it? Dad hesitated a fraction of a second. Tyler. Of course he did. Allison exhaled loudly. Can you please not start drama right before my engagement photos? Tyler's hooking us up with a cabin for the weekend. I almost said, paid for with my roof. I didn't. Instead, I picked up my bag and walked out. The contractor in the driveway nodded at me like we were neighbors. Sawdust hung in the air. Across the street, Mrs. Keating was watering petunias and pretending not to watch. Maya was at Emily Parker's house, my best friend since 8th grade and the only person who has never called my caution negative energy. I texted, running late. Is she okay? Emily replied with a photo. Maya and her son, Owen, building Lego castles. The caption read, she says hers needs a dragon to guard the drawbridge. I told her you already are one. By the time I reached Emily's, I'd convinced myself we could fix it quietly. Reverse the line, call the bank, make Tyler eat the notary charge, pretend the boat never happened. In a perfect world, justice takes place in daylight. In the real one, it starts under buzzing fluorescent lights at 7:48 p.m. in a police station lobby that smells like old coffee. The desk officer, Sergeant Kim, listened without interrupting. I slid the printed pages forward. That's not my signature, I said, and my throat burned. The notary is my cousin. He knows my handwriting. He knows my daughter's birthday. My parents used this to open a line against my home without my consent. Sergeant Kim read, eyes moving fast. Do you have proof of your actual signature? I handed over my license, my passport, the closing disclosure from when I bought the house. He compared, nodded once, slow. We'll need the notary journal and the bank's recording. Do you feel safe staying at your residence? I feel evicted by math, I said. Does that count? He almost smiled. I'll write this up tonight. Call the bank fraud line right now, ask for a freeze and a supervisor, then email me the contractor info. Back at Emily's kitchen counter, while she cut strawberries for the kids, I dialed the bank. The hold music was insultingly cheerful. When a human answered, I hurled facts like stones. Forged POA, fraudulent notary, unauthorized HELOC, police report number, medical hardship. In between menu trees and transfers, Emily slid me a glass of water and a sticky note. Breathe. I've got Maya overnight. Focus. At 9:31 p.m., a supervisor came on. I can place an immediate hold on further disbursements, she said. To unwind the HELOC itself, we'll need an affidavit and the police report. If the notary's stamp is fraudulent or the POA isn't recorded properly, we can escalate. It is fraudulent, I said, surprising myself with the certainty in my voice. I'm emailing you the report tonight. When I hung up, my phone lit with a new text from Dad. Heard you talk to the bank. Don't overreact. We'll cover the interest until you calm down. I stared at it until the words blurred. Then I put the phone face down and wrote the affidavit with my hands shaking so hard I smudged my own name. By midnight, the house was quiet. Owen snored on the couch fort. Maya's nebulizer hummed softly in Emily's guest room like a mechanical lullaby. I stood in the doorway, watching my daughter sleep. Her breaths even, her fingers curled around a purple dragon keychain. In the dim light, she looked like a kid whose world was simple. Mom, bedtime story, medicine, morning. I promised myself under that thin blanket of sound. I am going to fix this before her next appointment. I don't care if I have to pull nails out of the lake deck with my teeth. The next morning broke with a call from an unknown number. "This is Detective Laura Jensen with Financial Crimes," the voice said. "I've reviewed the overnight report. Ms. Brooks, are you available to come in this afternoon? We'd like to discuss the notary, Mr. Tyler Ames, and the contractor who received funds." I would be. I'd sit in that plastic chair until the clock gave up. On the way out, Maya tugged my sleeve. "Can we get pancakes after your work, Mommy?" "We can get pancakes before," I said. "Extra sprinkles." Her smile was the kind that breaks you open and fixes you at the same time. I strapped her into the car seat and drove toward a day that would turn our names inside out. Detective Jensen was the opposite of the TV version. No dramatic trench coat, just a navy blazer, a notebook, and a way of looking at paperwork like it had told a joke it shouldn't. She listened as I explained how my signature became a coin in a family vending machine. She took copies, made notes, asked if I'd mind waiting while she made a quick call. 10 minutes later, she returned with a printout. "We pulled the notary's journal," she said. "It's creative. Mr. Ames witnessed your signature at 11:42 p.m. 3 weeks ago." "I was at the ER," I said. "Maya had an asthma flare. I can get the timestamp from our MyChart portal." "Do," she said. "Also, the security footage from the branch shows your father and Mr. Ames initiating the HELOC the following morning. No you." I felt a small, dangerous calm settle in. "So, what happens now? We'll interview your parents and Mr. Ames separately. Meanwhile, the bank has already frozen the line pending investigation. If this goes where I think it goes, we'll be recommending charges: forgery, notary misconduct, identity fraud. I know that's complicated, emotionally." "It's not complicated," I said, surprising us both. "It's arithmetic," Maya breathes because I make numbers behave. On the way home, my phone lit up with family pings like popcorn. Allison: "Tyler says you're being dramatic. Everyone uses POAs." Mom: "We were going to tell you after the renovations. You're so stressed lately." Dad: "Do not talk to cops again until we've all calmed down." At a red light, I reread Emily's sticky note in my head. Breathe. Then I voice texted Detective Jensen the ER discharge screenshot with the timestamp, 11:24 p.m. I added the MyChart logins to a folder labeled Oxygen and Evidence. The next 48 hours were a stew of logistics. The bank required an ink-signed affidavit. Detective Jensen needed my sample signatures. Maya needed refills. My boss needed my presence on a Zoom where the client apologized to me for whatever family thing I was dealing with. I smiled steadily and delivered the deck. When the meeting ended, he said, "Take Friday, family first." I wanted to hug him through the screen. Friday arrived with a summer heat that stuck to skin. I took Maya to the park at 8 a.m. before the pollen count spiked. She ran in slow, careful bursts while I refreshed my email like a compulsion. At 9:17, 2 messages landed. The first from the bank: HELOC suspended, final determination pending. The second from Detective Jensen: interviews complete. Call me. I called. "We confronted your cousin with the journal inconsistency," she said. "He folded in about 6 minutes. Said your dad told him you'd authorize anything for the good of the family, and that he, quote, filled in the gaps. Your father admitted he signed as your agent under a verbal power of attorney. That is not a thing. Your mother asked for a lawyer halfway through." I closed my eyes. a breeze rattled the maple leaves overhead like applause that didn't belong to me. What now? We're drafting charges this afternoon. The DA will decide. The bank is preparing to unwind the HELOC and restore your title clean. There may still be fees to fight, but we'll get you there. I hung up and just sat on the bench for a long time. Maya plopped beside me, breathless and pink. I made a friend, she announced, pointing to a girl in braids on the slide. Her name is Hannah, and she likes dragons. Then she's excellent, I said, and meant it. At 3, my parents called from a blocked number. I let it ring once, twice, and then answered in case the part of me that still remembered bedtime stories needed closure. Mom came in hot. How could you? We're your parents. No, I said, and the word felt clean. You're 2 adults who gambled with my kids' lungs. Dad tried reason. We plan to pay it back as soon as the cottage rented. You know how summers are at the lake. Do you know how summers are in an ICU? I asked. I do. I know the color of the tile and the exact number of steps from the elevator to the room with the fish mural. We did this for family, he insisted. You did this to family, I corrected. And family is going to court. He called me ungrateful. Mom called me dramatic. Allison texted a string of eye-roll emojis I didn't have the energy to decode. I blocked all 3 and drove to the courthouse to file a temporary restraining order against further contact regarding my property. The clerk stamped the paper like she'd done it 1,000 times for strangers whose relatives believed love was a synonym for access. 2 weeks later, a letter arrived from the bank. HELOC voided, title restored, all disbursements reversed. There would be a hearing about the notary misconduct. There would be a different hearing about criminal charges. But the numbers that mattered were back where they belonged. Inside my roof, under my kid, behind our door. I didn't go to the Lake Cottage confrontation. Detective Jensen served the warrant. Tyler took a plea and lost his notary license. The contractor returned what he could and testified. To the rest. My parents were charged with forgery and identity theft. In the hallway outside arraignment, Mom reached for my hand. We did the best we could, she said softly, eyes glossy like the covers of her home magazines. Your best should never put my child at risk, I said. Not once, not ever. The DA offered them a deal: restitution, probation, financial counseling, no contact regarding my property. They signed, faces small and old under fluorescent bulbs that showed everything. I signed too, with my own pen. Life didn't become a movie. Bills still came. Maya still coughed on high pollen afternoons. The boat, which had been delivered early, sat shrink-wrapped in my parents' neighbor's drive until a marshal hauled it away. I took on extra freelance work. Emily showed up with casseroles like an army of one. My boss quietly routed a bonus my way under retention. Strangers on a fundraising page sent $5 with messages like, "For pancakes," and "For dragons." We saved for Boston. The trial opened in September. We went. Maya held my hand and studied the plane wing like it was a friendly shark. In the apartment we rented near the hospital, she taped her dragon keychain to the fridge with a note. Breathe here. The first night, I lay awake listening to her sleep. Steady, easy. For the first time in months, I didn't check the bank app every hour. I turned my phone over and watched the ceiling glow softer with each passing car. Months later, when the specialist said the word responding and smiled like he'd been waiting to give us this gift, I cried so hard the nurse pressed tissues into my hands and said, "That's a yes." We celebrated with pancakes and sprinkles so bright they stained our tongues blue. I never went back to the lake. The cottage sold in winter to a couple from Minnesota who liked the deck just the way it was. My parents sent a Christmas card I opened in the driveway and fed to the recycling bin. The last line read, We hope you'll remember that family is forever. I whispered back, so are boundaries. A year out, the house feels like a living thing that decided to keep us. There's a new deadbolt on the door, and my deed sits in a fireproof box with 2 other items. Maya's dragon keychain, I bought her a new one, and a photo of the 2 of us on the hospital rooftop, watching planes wink across the dusk. Sometimes, on quiet nights, I still take out the letter from the bank that says, voided in bold. I run my finger over the word like it might smudge. It doesn't. It holds. So, what do you think? Was I too harsh, or not nearly harsh enough? Tell me in the comments where you're watching from and what you'd have done if it was your name on a page you never signed.